You're watching Public Comment every Thursdays at 8 a.m. The live stream. Detroit is different and Bridge Detroit. Local politics of Detroit. All right. Welcome back to Public Comment, July 18th, Thursday. Khary Frazier here of Detroit is different with Malachi Barrett. Malachi, how you feeling?
I'm doing well. I'm doing good, man.
Yes, sir.
Thanks to everybody that came out to our event last night, Church of the Messiah. We were talking about reparations in I-375. So go on our website. We got more summer town halls coming up. But that was Khary, you were there. What did you think about that?
I thought it was thought it was cool. Hopefully my babbling and rambling on about certain things kept people engaged. Definitely cool panelists. Janice from the reparations task force added some key insights. Marcia, Kim of Detroit Future City, and also I received the Bridge Detroit magazine. That was really cool. That has portions of what I think is a great piece about Detroit reparations and what the municipal harms were. Malachi, you did a great job on that three-piece and 3 pieces of articles, all separate but all impactful. It's a longer read, but I strongly urge if any of you all before or as you're making your understandings of what could happen with municipal reparations here in Detroit, please read that article. And then if you're interested in Detroiters and moving and organizing around reparations, watch A Debt Owed, Not a Handout, which is a video essay from Detroit is Different. So I just want to speak to that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That was yeah, I wish I knew the locations. We're dropping these print magazines around the city. I think mostly at churches and some barbershops as well. I'll try to get some more information next time we come back.
It makes sense because it's like a good healthy piece about the barbershop and the culture connected to the barbershop
right.
within it. You know,
there's a couple of stories in there. It's just kind of like a look at some things we've done lately, and in a really glossy form. I mean, it looks nice. It's good photos and everything like that. But all that stuff's available online too. If you type in like Bridge Detroit reparations, you'll find some of our most recent reporting on all of that.
Yeah, definitely. So with that being said, public comment this week, we're talking a couple different things. We're really picking up with something that was interesting, and I figured something would happen with this nuisance parties and unlawful gatherings ordinance. This was introduced through Coleman Young II, council member. If approved, ordinance gives police authority to shut down parties, punish hosts and promoters, prevent attendees from reconvening elsewhere as well. An officer came and presented. These are the things within Young's ordinance that they're looking for as illegal behaviors. Disorderly conduct, which is kind of abstract, consumption of alcohol, liquor on streets, sidewalks, alleys, and other public areas, unlawful sale of alcohol or sale of alcohol to minors, illegal possession, sale of distribution of controlled substances, outdoor urination or defecation, I should say, indecent or obscene conduct, littering, destruction of property, violation of noise ordinances, brandishing or shooting of firearms, which one of the things brought up within this through, I believe it was Councilmember Tate, a lot of that stuff is already illegal. So, kind of responding to it. What was the feedback there? I think that this is some of the fears that many community organizations and neighborhood groups are going to have, where it's like, damn, now we can't really do a lot. One of the things that Sheffield has in the comment is like, Belle Isle it's tougher to do things on Belle Isle. It's tougher to do things on the riverfront and definitely certain places downtown. We go into our own neighborhoods and now we can't do things in our own neighborhoods. It becomes so much more of a police state. What was the perspective at council?
Yeah, so 2 weeks ago, last Monday, the police chief and the mayor had a press conference where they were talking about increasing enforcement of what they called illegal block parties. In the wake of a series of shootings at summer parties, culminating in the really tragic situation where we had 21 people shot, 2 killed at a party on the far northeast side of the city. And the initial question from a lot of folks was like, okay, well, what's an illegal party? What's an illegal block party? Well, this feels like kind of the other shoe dropping. This is an ordinance that would kind of codify what an unlawful gathering is. All of the things that are in here that kind of define a nuisance party. So the ordinance specifically says a nuisance party and a legal party is a gathering of 5 or more people that results in one of the behaviors that you listed. So disorderly conduct, selling alcohol to minors, people being out on the street, brandishing firearms, all that stuff, which is all, already illegal. It's specifically cited in the ordinance and other sections of city code. So I think what this really does is it gives police the ability to shut down gatherings based on, any of these things that they see. And then it also allows them to hold the hosts or the organizers of the party accountable with a misdemeanor. They can be punished basically for organizing parties that kind of get out of control. And then also it prevents people from gathering somewhere else. So this was something that the deputy chief talked about multiple times yesterday, where police would break up a party. People would say, okay, let's go to, my house down the block, or let's go somewhere else in the neighborhood, or, hey, let's all meet up at this location. If they do that, police can then cite everybody who attended the party. So I think, council members were very skeptical of this when it was introduced. There will be a lot more conversations as this moves forward. There will be public hearings where people have the ability to weigh in and more questions will be asked of police. But just on its face, I think there's concern from council about police being able to decide when a party is illegal and shutting down parties and events, which we've seen happen a few times this year, was very kind of top of mind for folks. Yeah, I think the main thing was people were worried about it contributing to over policing, and then just really questioning like what is different about this? How does this allow police to stop the kinds of situations that turn violent?
I think this kind of goes to something that Malachi kind of knows, because I was ranting this morning about the same thing. It's like, we're gonna put more rules on the books, and Malachi knows this. You all should know this from watching public comment. I'm big on like, how will we enforce it? Because if enforcement starts looking like cherry picking, now I'm feeling like that's unfair. It's barely enough officers to patrol some of the challenges that we know are directly things that officers need to be patrolling. So now we're gonna allocate certain officers to doing tasks like these, and that's gonna take away the resources from officers doing tasks like the things that they already have to do, to put more and more stressors on it. Now what ends up happening is like, okay, we're just gonna target certain neighborhoods. And this is how I believe historically, especially as a Black person, you start feeling like, damn, they gonna mess with us when we're in neighborhoods doing things that quote unquote they don't want us doing. Or we're younger people doing a party in Woodbridge. We're younger people doing a party in Rosedale Park. We're younger people in Indian Village. So now all of a sudden, 4 of us did together and we take out a Bluetooth speaker and we getting arrested.
Yeah. Well, here's some of the questions I'm thinking about. So 80 police officers are on this new unit that are going to be going around neighborhoods looking for illegal block parties, right? Right now, an illegal block party is just anytime people are out on the street, a party that kind of goes beyond my property, goes beyond my backyard. People are out on covering the sidewalk, blocking public streets. Okay. This kind of opens up the kinds of categories for what can be determined in a legal party. So my question would be, as police are patrolling neighborhoods now looking for, out of control parties, does this give them more discretion in shutting down events? Can they walk up and say, looks like you guys are littering here. There's a bunch of cans on the lawn here. Some of these cans are going into the street. We're shutting this thing down. If you refuse to leave, we're, giving you a misdemeanor. That's the kind of primary concern I think that people have when it comes to like,
and more of this is still back to, as far as I feel like, it's going to become cherry picking, and they're going to pick and choose who to try to quote unquote enforce this on, when I believe all of this could be subverted with just more community engagement. If you just had stronger relationships, interact with people, connect with people. Mary Sheffield said, okay, the 911 calls, it was certain calls that were reported, but no response. hence back to like the overcapacity of the officers already. So now you're going to dedicate 80 officers to patrol. Like I can already tell you sometime between April and June with all the prom send-offs, you're going to be locking up people before as they get off and go to prom. Or you just going to pick and choose which people you're going to lock up when they go do a prom send-off? Or to do a prom send-off now, you know, the guy's family and the lady's family going to have to register with the city department. Do we have staff and everything in the system in order for people to have the capacity to onboard and take all of that, even if it's an online form process? Who's going to register and approve all of this? Will this cost money for residents? Should this be connected to our property taxes? Like, it's so many questions that pop up in my mind about, I do believe that, you know, the tragedy of what happened still deals back to, we can deal with community without the enforcement of policing it. We can engage ourselves in community. Like, that should be the solution.
Yeah, just kind of two quick things on that too. So in my example earlier, you know, I think the main, or one of the main questions people are going to have is like, how does this give police more discretion to shut down parties? Especially when, if someone's like peeing in the middle of the street, police can already arrest that guy.
I mean, all of these rules. I mean, if you brandishing a firearm, I would hope that police officers would stop that guy.
Right. This would give police the ability to shut down the party and come after the host, which you know, was something that the mayor talked about quite a bit too, that the hosts of these parties are advertising them through social media. They're attracting people from outside of the city, from like around the region. And so I think part of the intent is to really try to punish people that are organizing parties. You know, I guess with the intention that they like get real crazy, like that they get out of control.
So like technically the next summer conversation, where is that going to be at?
That's a good question. Well, that was another thing that people brought up. I mean, how does this apply to protests? How does this apply to types of gatherings, especially with the disorderly conduct? I think there's been a lot of questions around like, how far does that extend, even though disorderly conduct is defined in city codes. But, you know,
I would assume a protest would be considered disorderly.
It can definitely get disorderly, and people at protests have been charged with. So does that mean that, you know, organizers of protests? These are questions that we're going to have to walk through at this point in the legislative process. This is where council members talk about the unintended consequences or the outcomes of a. So we're going to have to, you know, wait and see, I guess, basically what gets answered and what DPD is able to say. Just real quick too, I wanted to also note, as we're talking about like where people are allowed to gather, you know, you were right. Mary Sheffield talked about how, you know, people used to gather on Belle Isle for big summer parties. They were kind of pushed out of there. Then they used to gather along the riverfront. We've kind of locked down a lot of the parks and made it harder for people to do that. So now they're having these parties in their neighborhoods, and we're trying to kind of shut those down too. So I don't know if, you know, that narrative is accurate or not, but that's how some folks are talking about it. There's also the perception that downtown is given more preference, you know, when it comes to this, that there are more officers down there keeping people safe in the summertime, particularly. And Councilmember Coleman Young, who introduced the ordinance that we've been talking about, also introduced another one that would create an exception for downtown noise violations. It would basically add an extra hour on Fridays and Saturdays before the noise ordinance kicks in. So basically allowing I mean, noise is different than disorderly conduct and all things that we're talking about, but it adds kind of an extra ability for people to do things downtown, right?
And as a Detroiter, I can point blank tell you, Lions opening day, when the Lions have their first game, see, this is where, like I say, cherry picking. Because if these cops go out and actually start giving tickets to all those people tailgating that are Lions fans, then I'll say, you know what? DPD actually did sit back and enforce it. But if it's just black kids coming together, I got a problem with that. You know.
So this is one to watch. This is going to Public Health and Safety Committee, I believe. This is going to be so the police are asking that the council pass this before the August recess, which means they have basically 2 meetings left to get this done. It could happen pretty quickly. So we just wanted to let folks know about it, since it was just introduced and seems to be kind of on the fast track right now.
Yep, because And looking at this list, that looks like Tigers opening day, and definitely any Lions tailgate. A lot of that. but it's money connected to that stuff. So it's like, no, we're not gonna do anything about that. So the solar farms. It's going to take a little bit more time, and I was definitely hoping that this would be some decision after council break in August. No daylight yet for solar plan. City council held off on a key vote needed to establish the neighborhood solar farm initiative. Many questions were definitely raised, and looking at some of the questions raised about this, one of the cool things is Perkins Law Group. That will definitely be council looking into what's going to happen. A lot of eminent domain going to happen with this process. And we've talked a little bit about this before. What was happening in council connected to this?
Yeah, so this was delayed basically because council members want to take up all of the items that would create this solar initiative at the same time, which is common. They've done this before with big tax deals and other kind of complicated policy initiatives that take multiple votes. So what was on the agenda yesterday was the creation of a solar equity fund that would basically create the money needed to buy homes from property owners within the first 3 neighborhoods where these solar farms are being planned. There are also contracts with 3 different companies, including DTE Energy, to basically manage the solar fields. And there's some other kind of minor documents that the council needs to approve to make this all happen. So they're all going to take this up at the same time. Again, probably before August recess is the goal. Will probably happen in the next week or two. More of these will be moved out of committee and land on the council table. But I think there are some questions about the impact of a legal analysis that the council has requested. Specifically, Sheffield has been asking for a third opinion on, questions really related to zoning and eminent domain, which are 2 kind of big issues in this whole thing. Zoning requirements may not apply to the solar fields based on the law department and the legislative policy division's analysis of all of this. So basically, you would be able to put industrial type uses near neighborhoods and ignore any kind of existing zoning there. And then also eminent domain, the justification for this is a public use, and therefore we can take private land for public uses. Most of the homeowners, if not all the homeowners in these areas that are up for that, have agreed to sell their house to the city for a little bit. I think it's like double the market value. We've talked about this on the show before. But I think there's
or $90,000 if it's under that.
Yeah, whatever's higher, I think, right? So at least $90,000, which could be a pretty good deal for some folks. We were talking to some people last night who said that they've been trying to sell their home for a long time, and we're not going to get $90,000 for it. So they're actually pretty happy about this. So yeah, I mean, I think that there are some questions that could be worked through in the next week. But overall, council members seem they seem a little hesitant to get on board with this, and I think the mayor's administration has been pushing for it pretty hard. They seem to have the support of the majority of people in these neighborhoods. What council members will decide to do, I think, is of a lot of interest for people, for sure.
Definitely. One of the things brought up, as we've talked about this before, that I liked, 2 things. Some of the questions that Mary Sheffield raised were, how does this fit into the master plan already not implemented by the city? So that's interesting. And then my council member, Angela Whitfield Calloway, said District 2 was saying we should separate and have different votes for each one of the sites, which I think that makes sense as well, and looking at all the sites. So
she issued a memo that I have linked in here that has 27 different questions about the proposal and how it came together, how the sites were determined, how this affects the master plan, what kinds of environmental studies have been done, whether these were neighborhoods that could be redeveloped for infill housing instead of solar fields. And
so that was Calloway that had those questions?
That was Sheffield.
Oh, that's what okay. I thought Sheffield had the questions, but Calloway was saying let's separate it. That's
correct. Yep. Yeah, Calloway has asked that they vote on each of the contracts separately instead of all at once, which I don't that probably will happen. I guess I don't really want to speculate, but there's a lot of interesting questions in here that Sheffield has asked that kind of give you a sense of the kind of gap between the administration and the council. And it feels like council members are trying to kind of catch up on how a lot of these decisions were being made and do their due diligence. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yep. So definitely with that, we're getting closer to the pause for council. Also, it's going to be a little bit of a break for Malachi, but we're going to talk. We're going to have in some other guests. Kaylee, contributor to Bridge Detroit, and also Sam Robinson of Axios Detroit will be coming. We're going to talk some national things and some statewide things. It's a couple different things that are pressing. And even with Malachi, I want us to talk and bring somebody in to talk about some of these judicial races, because that's always like people were like, I don't know who's running for judge, and sometimes I'm in that boat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And those are really influential seats.
And
yeah, there's way less focus on the judicial candidates compared to folks that are running for Congress, for example. So yeah,
definitely. So with that being said, definitely thank you so much for tuning in to Public Comment. Detroit is different. Malachi, I know you got the notebook. What else is going down?
bridgedetroit.com. Free news, no paywalls, no subscriptions. You can subscribe for free to our newsletters, which come every week. Pretty much every day. There's a couple of different newsletters you can subscribe to. So my council notebook comes out at least once a week, but there was a lot on the agenda that we didn't get to today that actually I'm going to probably put out a second newsletter this week, and I'll often do that when we have some more kind of exclusive reporting. We put out an alert about the Belle Isle Beach being closed due to some high levels of bacteria on Monday. So you'll get breaking news alerts about important topics, as well as quick kind of breakdowns of more complicated stories that we do, and kind of like an inside look into how we're making decisions about coverage as well. We are doing a series of town halls this summer. Go online to our website to see the schedule for that. I believe our next one is about home repair and housing resources, which is a huge topic. And we appreciate your support. We're a nonprofit newsroom. Can't do this without the feedback that we get from readers. And I don't know. That's all I got. Appreciate it.
all day. So with that, check us Monday. Detroit is different. Check.
Next up, you ready for the next stylist?
Detroit is Different presents the 2023 film screening of the My Natural Hair Show, Monday, July 22nd at 6 p.m. at the University of Detroit Center, 3663 Woodward Avenue, Detroit, Michigan. You don't want to miss the culture, the creativity, and all that we cook up. Remember, we're healing community through culture with Detroit is Different.
That show was amazing, and we need to understand that the standard that we have in Detroit is bar none. Nobody can touch it.